Okay, so if you're someone who works with data, you've probably faced this choice. Do you stick with the tried and true powerhouse, SPSS, or do you jump into the new wave of modern analytical tools? Well, today we're going to break that question right down.
I mean, think about it. On one hand, you've got decades of rock-solid reliability. On the other, you have these incredibly powerful capabilities that you pretty much need in today's data-driven world. So where do you go? Which path is the right one for you?
And you know, it's a real dilemma for any analyst out there. The number of tools available right now can feel, frankly, a little overwhelming. Choosing the right software isn't just about picking the one with the most features, it's about your goals, your budget, and honestly, your future. To really get this, you have to appreciate the legacy of SPSS. I mean, it was born way back in 1968. For over half a century, it's been the bedrock of academic and market research. It is the very definition of an industry stalwart. But here's the thing. The world that created SPSS, that's not the world we live in now, not even close. The explosion of big data, the rise of AI, these things have completely changed the game, the questions we're asking, and the tools we need to answer them.
So, with all this change, you might be wondering, why is SPSS still such a major player? That's a great question. Let's really dig into the case for this statistical heavyweight.
And this, right here, gets to the absolute heart of why SPSS has stuck around. For starters, its point-and-click interface is just so accessible, especially if you're not a coder. It also has this huge library of trusted statistical tests and really straightforward data management. Plus, and this is a big one, it's a staple in universities all over the world. That means generations of analysts learned on it first.
And look at this. Here's the hard data to prove it. When you look at scholarly articles, which is a great indicator of academic use, SPSS isn't just winning. It's winning by a mile. In the world of academia, it has been the undisputed king. But then, you shift your focus from the university to the professional job market, and the whole picture just flips upside down. If you look at analytics job listings, which tells you what the industry wants, suddenly SPSS is way down the list. It's trailing far behind other tools.
So what we're really seeing here are two completely different worlds, right? In one, SPSS is the gold standard, but in the other, a whole new set of skills is what's really in demand. And that brings us to the challengers.
So who exactly are these challengers? Well, for the most part, we're talking about code-based languages, especially R and Python. And the thing about them is, they weren't just built for statistics. They were basically born in the era of big data and AI, designed from the ground up to tackle those kinds of challenges. And this is where the differences become crystal clear. When you're talking about advanced machine learning, the deep learning stuff that powers things like image recognition, SPSS has pretty limited capabilities. When it comes to the massive scale of big data, it can really start to struggle. And for real-time analytics, which is crucial and feels like finance, it just wasn't built for that. Another huge difference is just the philosophy behind them. Tools like R and Python are open source. Now, that doesn't just mean they're free, though that's a big part of it. It means they're built and constantly being improved by a massive global community, which leads to crazy fast innovation. So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, SPSS offers about 14 really powerful paid add-on modules. That's great, but R, by contrast, has over 9,000 free packages available, covering almost any statistical technique you could ever dream of. But the biggest difference of all?
Yeah, it's the cost.
So let's say you want the top tier, gets you everything version of SPSS. You're looking at a price tag of nearly $8,000 per user, per year. And the cost for those open source challengers with all their cutting edge abilities? Zero. It's nothing. And that right there is a powerful incentive that has driven this massive adoption all across the industry. Okay, so after all that, how do you make the right call? The key really is to stop thinking which one is better and start asking which one is the right tool for this specific job. Here's a pretty simple framework to help you decide. First, how complex is your data and the analysis you need to do? Second, what does your team already know? The learning curve for a brand new tool is a real cost. Third, and it's an obvious one, what's your budget? And finally, how well does this tool need to play with all the other systems you're already using?
At the end of the day, it really comes down to this. It's not about being loyal to a brand or chasing the latest trend. It's about taking a clear-eyed look at what you actually need to accomplish. Let your goals, your data, and what you want to find out, let that be your guide. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to think about. The world of data is not standing still, not for a second. the challenges we'll face tomorrow are going to be even more complex than today. So the real question isn't just what tool you choose right now, it's how you plan to evolve your skills and your entire toolkit for whatever comes next.